couple of weeks ago, Bandai officially announced their upcoming Gundam TCG, very lazily named Gundam card game. As a fan of both card games and the Gundam franchise, I thought I'd take a few minutes to talk about my thoughts on what we've seen so far. So, first and foremost, I am interested in this game. I've been saying for years that following the success of Flesh and Blood, Bandai should have done a similar game using mobile suits and such for G Gundam, but that's not what we're getting here, and that's okay. I've played two other Bandai card games, Dragon Ball Super and Digimon. For both of these, I basically just played the how to play apps they put out. Dragon Ball didn't grab me. It had some interesting mechanics, but my brain broke a little when you have a leader card and then have numerous battle cards of that exact same character. Digimon, I actually quite enjoyed. The mechanics were solid, and I have fond memories of those first two seasons of the anime. Tentamon is my boy, and I apologize for nothing. But I've not played any of the other Bandai games, and I only ever considered buying anything related to Battle Spirit Saga because there was a Gundam crossover set. But now, here we are in late 2024, and an all-new Gundam-centric TCG is on the horizon. We've been shown some of the basics of how to play in a whole slew of cards already. From what I can tell, both from research and talking with people more familiar with some things than I am, it seems like a mashup of all the most popular mechanics from other Bandai TCGs. The Shields mechanic is right out of Digimon. The separate resource deck, I'm told, is ripped from One Piece. And I think someone mentioned some other mechanic being lifted from something, but I don't remember which. And honestly, this doesn't bother me. If those mechanics work, and work well, then why not reuse them? I think taking all your greatest hits and smashing them together with a coat of Gundam paint is a solid idea. One of the mechanics I really like is the base mechanic. These are basically an extra shield you can play to make your opponent have to punch through something more durable before they can gun for your shields directly. Having these cards all be ships and buildings and such instead of mobile suits themselves is a nice touch, and it does seem like it can offer up some interesting tactical decisions. I'm also interested in the unit level and cost thing. See, units have a level and a separate cost value, with the level being the number of resources you need to control before you can play the card, but the cost to actually play it is a separate thing. Let's look at the Strike Gundam here as an example. It has a level of 4, meaning you have to have 4 resources in play before you can play it. But the cost to play it is only 2 of those resources. It's a little weird at first, but I think it's kind of a neat way to balance things. The unit itself isn't pricey to actually pay, but you gotta build up first. This also seems like it'll let you set up some combos to play both a unit and a pilot in the same turn. Speaking of pilots, I like that they act almost as equipment for the units, giving whatever they're paired with a stat boost and maybe an extra special ability. This is similar to the mechanic in Digimon, where when you digivolve stuff, they can gain abilities from their previous forms and lets you set up specific combos of pilot to unit to maybe give a specific unit a little extra punch to help you get closer to victory. The other thing about pilots I like is the link system. See, units have a pilot listed at the bottom of their card, and if you pair that pilot with that unit, it does a couple of things. Firstly, it allows the unit to attack the same turn it's played, overruling summoning sickness that does exist here. Secondly, some pilots give extra bonuses when linked. Hero here gives an extra +1 attack and HP when linked, so sticking him in this particular version of the Wing Gundam means it's suddenly getting a whopping 7 attack and 7 HP. That's a hell of a boost for one card. I also quite appreciate that the generic grunt suits seem to link with anyone with a specific trait, meaning that, yeah, you can toss Char into a regular old Gelgoog and they'll be linked. This gives a lot of flexibility when using grunt suits, instead of having to make sure you can do your big fancy unit plus its required pilot for the link combo. I'll admit, when we first saw the cards, I was worried that maybe grunts would be sitting the game out, so this is nice to see they'll still be viable. And this isn't mechanical in any way, but it does make me happy to see they aren't being lazy and just using screen grabs for the card art. Everything we've seen thus far is, as far as I know, entirely original art made for this game. Maybe some of it is lifted from a previous project, I don't know. But by having a fairly consistent style means cards won't clash quite so glaringly as they would if they used old stills. I love the original Gundam, but that art is rough next to stuff like Witch from Mercury. We know the first few series to be featured are 0079, Unicorn, Wing, Witch from Mercury, and Seed. This is a pretty nice mix right out the gate, and I'll admit that I was worried the first few sets would all just be 1 year war stuff. If there's one thing I'm not super thrilled on, it's the win condition. Destroy the enemy shields and then deal one final blow just lacks the punch I want. I would have loved to see like a mission deck that each player draws a card from to determine their win condition or something. Just something to spice it up a little bit and maybe add some asymmetry to the game. It's not a deal breaker, but it doesn't exactly excite me. Overall, though, I'm interested. Bandai has a pretty notorious track record with their TCGs, so I'm also rather hesitant. From what we've seen thus far, it looks like it could be a pretty solid game. And if it continues on long enough to give us cards of the NT1 Victory V2 and the glory that is the X Gundam, I'll be happy. Will I play it? Maybe, if there's anyone in my area who ends up being interested. If nothing else, I will likely buy a booster box and rip into it as a collector. I want it to do well, I really do, but I'm also ready for it to fumble. So what are your thoughts on this new game? Are you excited? Or are you dreading it? Any faith at all? And let me know in the comments if you would like a learn to play type video when this comes out, and I'll see what I can make happen. Thanks for watching.